Hey everybody, it's PICCnick, and I wanted to make a short guide on habits to form to improve your DOTA play. I started at 700 MMR, and I worked my way up to 4K, and I've had my fair share of backtracking and losing 500, 700, even 1000 MMR over the course of 2 weeks. And looking back on it, I realized it was the small things I was doing that I didn't think mattered that started to add up. So over the course of this video, I wanted to share these habits I learned the hard way to improve the community and to help people gain MMR that hold true for almost every game. I'm going to start with one of the most important good habits to start, which is your attitude going into every game. No matter what skill bracket, what medal, or what MMR you're in, toxicity has been associated with Dota in every tier of play, but it's also one of the most harmful things towards victory. I've watched and I've played my fair share of games that should have been lost based on draft alone, but positive communication between team members at all times pulled it through to victory. I've also experimented with pubs where I only say positive things and congratulate people saying good job or that was cool when things go right, and I say that's okay, we'll get them next time, or it was a good try when things don't go as planned. This environment in the team makes people less tense and honestly play better because they aren't constantly distracted by the all chat, all caps toxicity that some players put out. At the end of the day, even if your team isn't as skilled or as knowledgeable as you, having less toxicity in a game makes everyone enjoy it and play better. Now that I've covered yourself being toxic, I wanted to cover other players on your team being toxic. We've all had that one core or one support that will just non-stop flame everyone from the horn because they know best, or GG, we lost at the draft. The fastest and most effective way I've found to deal with people like this is to go to the top left of your screen, find the microphone and the text icons, and to mute it. In all honesty, the stuff of relevance they have to say is usually vastly outweighed by the toxicity they put into the game. So it's best to just not even listen to them in the first place, let them rage and say whatever they want, but saying something as simple as let's play our game guys and we'll see what happens can really diffuse the situation, and then muting the toxic player and anyone else associated with them flaming. Be vocal about what you're doing. It's a good habit to say when you're about to do something, whether that be countdown before you stun, whether you teleport, or the time it takes you to walk to a lane. Saying I'm coming bottom to gank versus I'm coming bottom to gank in 30 seconds provides much more timing for the people in the lane to harass, position, fix creep aggro, check for wards. It's never a bad idea to provide as much info as possible to your team. As a support counting down from 3 before you cast your stun, it gives your lane partner 3 seconds to figure out what they're going to do and prevent stun stacking or mistiming of spells. It's just such a good idea, and it can really benefit the entire team. The next habit to make you a better player is adapting to your team and not being a stick in the mud when it comes to heroes or positions. In a lot of games you may find someone doing something unorthodox, such as I had in a very recent game, Shadow Fiend offlane. Now he first picked Shadow Fiend, said he was going offlane, and my team lost their minds. Before the game even started, I had people flaming and raging, and instead of trying to salvage the offlane and compete with SF for farm on a real offlane, I picked a support with him, knowing that he will have a rough time in lane, but I could help him catch up after. Now there are many situations like this where someone gets directly countered by a hero or picks something that really shouldn't be played in that position, such as Shadow Fiend offlane I mentioned earlier. But you have to understand and adapt to what has happened and work with them in order to help the team succeed. There really is no I in team, so learn to be a team player. Another habit I wanted to cover is to limit your hero pool and to get really good at just a couple of heroes in a few positions. Being completely honest, my hero pool is limited to 5 heroes that I can play in 3 different positions: Phoenix, Techies, Tidehunter, Sand King, and Crystal Maiden. The reason I wanted to talk about this is because the more you play a specific hero, the better you intuitively become at positioning, ability usage, and itemization. When you try to play a bunch of heroes, it takes a lot longer to master the mechanical ability of each one and the muscle memory that each hero requires at the higher tiers of gameplay. I'm absolutely sure a low-skilled Invoker player would dominate me in a 1v1 with Invoker because I don't have the muscle memory learned for it. Being honest with yourself about what you're good at in-game and picking heroes and roles that complement that playstyle will cause you to improve tenfold. This isn't saying that you will not play heroes outside of the select few that you're better at, but there are times where you may be forced outside that hero pool or position based on team need and your ability to adapt. The important thing here is to always return to that baseline of heroes to pick from. Your teleport scrolls and using them are by far one of the most important habits to have. The first part of this is to always carry a teleport scroll, and should you find yourself without one, go to the nearest location and purchase one. Seriously, this is a no-brainer. The second part of this is to look at the game and think, do I need to teleport there? If the wave is in front of your tower, but it's not hitting your tower, and you can walk there without your tower taking serious damage to farm it, you just effectively did two things. 1, you saved 50 gold on buying another TP scroll, and 2, you kept your TP off cooldown for when you need it to either defend another tower or join a team fight. This habit is most important for supports and initiators. If your team is dying under tower and you're not there to disable or help because your TP is on cooldown, you have effectively screwed over your team by being careless with TPs. As a support, you should almost never TP to a T1 because you're wasting gold, which is limited as a support, as well as putting your TP on cooldown, which could be used to save a core in a different lane when they get in trouble. The next habit to cover is wards. Everyone's favorite chat wheel. We need wards, when to buy them, when to place them, and buying them even when you're not supposed to. I'm going to tell everyone that if you're playing mid and you desperately need a ward to see the pudge that camps mid and won't leave you alone and you're dying to ganks, don't spam we need wards and don't be that toxic person who is dying and then flaming the supports for not rotating or giving them a ward. Honestly, you'll save a lot of team stress and make people happier if you just spend the 80 gold on an observer. There are games where as an offlane I spend more on detections and wards than our position 5, and flaming them for not buying wards just goes back to that toxicity I talked about earlier. Yes, as a support you need to buy and place wards, but as a core, if your supports aren't doing it, then spam pinging, flaming, spamming the chat wheel, and drawing all over the map, and all chatting, we have no wards, and the vast ocean of insults that you can throw at them will not help you. Get into the habit of spending a small amount of gold and buying yourself a ward or two. Don't angrily buy all 4 because in reality you probably won't place them because you're going to spend your time farming. Buy only what you need to make your lane, your jungle, or your tower safe to farm, and then get back to farming to win that game. Thank you all for sticking around. I really hope people took something away from this and they can improve their own gameplay. I'm actually going to try streaming when I play games, so if you like the video, please feel free to check me out on Twitch. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.